Jeff gritted his teeth. That feels really good, he thought as he cut once more. He smiled as he stared down at the small streaks of red that marked his arm. Badly he desired more, just one more, but he knew that he couldn't. Not while he was at school. Jeff put his blade back into his pocket and then grabbed some toilet paper. Quickly, he began wiping down his arm, attempting to clean up as much as he could. When he finished, he rolled his sleeves down, wincing at the sharp pain. This only made him smile wider as he walked out the bathroom stall. As Jeff ambled down the hall, his eyes darted around. Only a few days had passed since his altercation with Randy. He was surprised that he hadn't gotten into any trouble yet. He snickered as he thought back on that day. It felt almost weird, that paranoia mixed in with that glee he felt from beating Randy senselessly. He kinda liked it. That was the last thought he had before he entered his next class. The days seemed to drag on with every new class, each teacher more boring than the last. Jeff let out a sigh of relief as he finally exited the building, ready to head home. As Jeff waited at the spot him and Lou had agreed upon, he gazed baffled at the phrase written in marker. Written on a metal pole was the sentence, "RTK was here." Jeff had no idea what that meant, and honestly he didn't care. He just wanted to get home. He looked around, still not seeing any sign of Lou. Jeff wondered what on earth could be taking him so long this time. He let out a heavy sigh and decided that now would probably be an okay time to just let his mind wander for a bit. Jeff leaned his head against the pole, squinting as the sun hit his eyes, making them look red. He thought about the past couple of days and how ridiculous most of the lessons seemed to be to him. His thoughts then switched to Lou. He seemed to be getting worse as time went on, talking more and more in that weird voice. Jeff wondered how much more of that disorder he could even take. He then shrugged. He knew he could talk to Lou about it later. Jeff let himself get distracted as he thought about a girl in one of his classes that he found to be particularly attractive. The way her blonde hair flowed down her curvy body just looked amazing to him. He smiled wide as he thought about how the only thing she was missing was blood. Jeff pictured it perfectly, the girl just smothered in the red liquid. Jeff began snickering at the image of her on her knees, clutching at each individual organ of hers and attempting to return them back to her body. Jeff found her to be even hotter when scared. His thoughts were suddenly shattered as a familiar voice called out to him. "Oh man, look what we got right here." Jeff nodded his head to see Randy approaching, a metal bat in one hand and a baseball in the other. Jeff smirked as he noticed the bandage around the kid's nose. "What's wrong? You ain't got nothing freaky to say while you're in my spot, edgelord?" Jeff's expression switched to one of confusion as he spoke. "Your spot?" "Yeah," Randy responded. "This is where me or one of the other two wait. So if you don't mind, I would like you to just get moving." Jeff laughed. "Whatever you say, shithead. Look, if you're looking to get even with me, I don't mind you putting that bat to good use right here and now." Randy narrowed his eyes. "Really? You must take me for an idiot if you think I'm about to do something so stupid in the middle of public." He then smiled. "I'm a patient man. Once the opportunity arises, I'll take it. Oh, and I ain't going for even. I'm going to be the one winning." As Randy finished, Lou arrived. Jeff shrugged. "Whatever you say." "Come on, Lou. It's about time you got here. Let's go," he said before turning and walking away. As Jeff ambled down the road, he hung his head. It was beginning to get just a little tiring walking to and from school every day. But then again, it did allow him some time to think. Most of the time, anyway. "Hey, I saw you with Randy. What was that all about?" Lou asked. Jeff shrugged. "Apparently, the spot that we usually spend waiting for each other supposedly belongs to him. I don't know why, but it's whatever, I guess." Lou stared at Jeff, surprised. "Oh, well dang. How was the rest of your day, though? Was it good?" he asked. Jeff sighed. "Shitty like the rest. How about you, Pharrell Williams?" Lou laughed. "Wow. Well, my week was happy, as you probably already know." He chuckled a little more before saying, Maybe yours would be too if you tried on some of the new clothes Mom bought us." Jeff turned his head to glare at Lou. "Why? So I can run around looking like you? No thanks. It's already bad enough that Mom still buys us matching outfits." Lou pulled on his blue shirt. "Well, your loss. I find the button-up and scarf to be quite classy." Jeff shook his head. "Whatever you say, Mama's boy." "At least I'm not a depressed lunatic," Lou muttered under his breath in a different voice. Jeff suddenly remembered what he needed to talk about. That reminds me, we really do need to discuss that ego of yours, that secondary one. I've noticed it happening a lot more often now." Lou looked at him, puzzled. "What? It can't be that bad." Jeff glared at Lou. "No, it definitely is. It's becoming a bit concerning." Lou smiled. "Aw, look at that! Big Bro really does have a heart," he exclaimed mockingly. "Just shut up," Jeff cringed. The previous day had gone and went, and before Jeff knew it, he was rummaging through his closet, very, very irritated. "Come on, Jeff, hurry up," his mother called from downstairs. "Oh, shut up," Jeff muttered under his breath. "This is your stupid idea anyway." He couldn't believe that she actually thought he would be ready for something he found to be so ridiculous. "I don't have anything nice to wear," he called down. "Then just pick something," Margaret called back. Jeff shook his head and went back to looking. As he did, he suddenly stumbled upon a pair of black dress pants. He forgot he even had them. He shrugged, deciding that they would work. Putting it on alongside his white hoodie, he rushed out the door. "You're wearing that?" both his parents exclaimed in unison. "Better than being overdressed like the three of you," Jeff responded. "I'm not wearing a suit, dress, or, heaven forbid, that blue button-up." Margaret sighed. All right. She looked down at her watch. "I think Barbara's gotten things started now, so let's just get going, okay?" Jeff's head drooped as he followed his family across the street. Peter looked back at him. "Hey," he said, "head up, champ. You're about to have some new interactions, and I want you to at least enjoy it, okay?" Jeff shrugged and muttered a simple, They soon arrived at the door, Margaret knocking on it. After some time, the door was opened, revealing a lady with short, dirty blonde hair, smiling. Jeff recognized her from a little while ago. She was Barbara, and just like the rest of his family, she was overdressed. "Ah, the Woods family. Please do come on in," she said. The family entered the house. As they did, Barbara continued, "Oh, the kids are out in the yard. You two boys should go and meet them. They're quite exciting to be around." At this, Lou rushed to the back door, Jeff following just behind him, shaking his head. "Such a child," he said. As Jeff exited the house, he stared out into the backyard. It's like a Toys R Us out here, he thought to himself as he watched a kid run by, pointing a plastic gun at another. Jeff took another step forward, his eyes changing from purple to red as the sunlight hit him. He gazed over to see Lou on the other end of the yard, chasing a little kid. Jeff thought he looked rather goofy with that large cowboy hat on his head. Jeff gritted his teeth as a kid rushed past him, letting out a high-pitched wail of excitement. He felt a bit irritated. It really was too noisy out here. Jeff's irritation switched to slight satisfaction as his mind wandered. While he did find all the noise to be quite infuriating, he did have to admit that it made the image he had of him strangling the life out of someone feel all the more rewarding. The thought felt as if he was trying to almost achieve some kind of goal. He laughed a little as he pictured the person staring up at him, their eyes full of nothing but terror as they clenched his wrists, practically pleading for him to stop. Jeff jolted as another kid ran by, squealing. He felt very irritated as the thought was now lost. He needed somewhere else to think, somewhere more quiet. But where? Jeff looked around, his eyes landing on the woods behind the fence. That'll do, he thought. He rushed over to the fence, then after looking over his shoulder to make sure that nobody was watching, he climbed over it. Jeff grunted as he landed with a thud on the other side. He turned his head back, expecting someone to call out his name, but nothing happened. When he realized that it was safe, he got up and ambled into the woods. As Jeff walked deeper, he let out a sigh of relief. Finally, quiet, he said. He soon stumbled upon a small clearing with a large tree in the middle of it. Jeff halted, tilting his head to the side. He stared curiously at the piece of paper nailed to the bark. It was a crude drawing of what looked to be a man standing in the middle of the forest. Jeff thought he might be wearing a suit. Jeff snatched the page and looked closer at it. The man had no face. What a weird drawing, he said before crumbling it up and tossing it to the side. Jeff looked back up to the tree, shocked to find the phrase RTK was here, etched into the wood, right where the page used to be. Ah, great, he muttered under his breath. He turned to leave, but stopped in his tracks as 3 familiar faces emerged from the trees. Well, look who's in yet another one of our spots, Randy said, tossing a baseball in one hand and gripping a metal bat in the other. And yet again, right before another game of baseball, too, he said. Jeff looked up as the trio approached. These guys again? There's just no end to them, he thought. Jeff really did want some peace and quiet this time. But then again, maybe he could get something better. Jeff smirked as an idea came to his mind. Glad to see I'm interrupting you once again, he said. Randy narrowed his eyes. Oh, shut it, kid. You're gonna pay for what you did to me at that bus stop, he finished. Yeah, how do you want to do it? Troy asked. You said he wanted you to put that bat of yours to good use, right? Keith added. Randy laughed. Oh, yeah, he said. Thanks for reminding me. He glared at Jeff. This is the perfect opportunity. Jeff giggled. Well, I'm right here, he said. He felt a rush of adrenaline as he watched Randy's expression grow more and more agitated. Oh man, it looked entertaining. He couldn't wait for what happens next. Randy rushed at Jeff, swinging the bat once he was close enough. the metal bat met with Jeff's skull, knocking him to the ground. Jeff began cackling with every blow after blow that Randy had given. "Stop cackling, you little shit," Randy exclaimed. Jeff's cackling finally ceased as Randy hit him right in the stomach, causing the air to leave his lungs. He then began coughing up blood as Randy struck him again and again and again. The strike suddenly stopped as Keith and Troy pulled Randy back. I think he's had enough," Troy said. "Yeah, calm down, man," Keith added. Randy broke free of them. "Let go of me," he exclaimed. "I didn't lie about what happened to my nose just to miss this free chance. No one gets away with hurting me like that." He glared at his two companions, then looked to the crumpled form of Jeff. "Drag him," he said. Keith and Troy stared at him, dumbfounded. Did I stutter? Drag him over, or so help me, I'm gonna make you just like him," he sneered. At this, the two boys rushed over and grabbed a hold of Jeff. Jeff snickered as they pulled him along to where they had just came from. He found the idea of him being dragged through the mud to be a bit funny as the rain began to pour. After a little while, they leaned him up against a tree. Keith looked up to Randy. "Now what?" he said. Randy ambled over to Jeff and crouched in front of him. "You're enjoying this, aren't ya?" he said. "You really are just as freaky as you look." Jeff coughed up more blood as he laughed. "Well, says the one who beat me in the middle of the woods. You're just as fucked up as I am." Randy stood. Smirking, he spoke. "Maybe," he said, pulling out a lighter. "But at least I ain't the one that's gonna be burning in hell." He finished before in one fluid motion he flung the lighter at Jeff. The trio of boys backed up as the lighter made contact. Jeff's shrieking and hollering of pain cut through the rain as the flames licked at his skin. He began rolling back and forth in an attempt to put the fire out. "What's that over there?" a voice called out in the distance. "Ah, crud," Randy said. Let's go," he hissed under his breath as he, Troy, and Keith ran. Jeff continued rolling back and forth, relief overcoming him as he accidentally rolled into a large puddle formed by the downpour of rain. A few seconds later, he emerged, coughing and spluttering. As he laid there, he heard numerous footsteps around him. Jeff felt strangely angry, yet happy at the same time as he heard all the adults speak. "Is that your son?" said one. "Oh, God, what happened to him?" said another. "Oh, no. Oh, my baby boy," said his mother. Jeff felt someone pick him up. As he was carried away, he thought he could make out some of the words they were saying, but he wasn't sure. Some sounded angry, others confused, and some a bit caring. But Jeff didn't care. The only thought in his mind was how he really wanted to meet Randy again. But next time, he would be the one to have fun.